Hey guys, it's Penny Peninsula. I know in this day and age a lot of people don't read, so I'm just going to kind of read you a piece of prose that I wrote. It's called The Beach. It's based on a true story, an experience I had. I changed the names just sort of to protect the people in it, but YouTube gave me 15 whole minutes, so let's use them. You learn so much from the beach. Maybe it's the lack of clothing, the apparent nakedness that strips people from their armor. The vulnerability reveals the secrets that hide beneath not just cloth, but that are deep-rooted under the skin. As I lay on the beach with the people with whom I have spent hours, I learn more than I could ever from simple conversation. Their personality quirks come out to play when there is nothing left to hide behind, except a bathing suit. Tyler, a large man, muscular in tone, sincere at first glance, cannot help but succumb. It is the nature of his manly being. Surrounded by women whose curves stare him in the face, he falters from his facade. To the girl to his right, he comments on a bow. Two almost insignificant pieces of cloth tied and tangled between each other on the hip of a woman. His hands take the long way around as they graze her stomach to feel the bow, as he notes his appreciation for it. Not more than 5 minutes later, he targets the woman on his left. Sarah, a beautiful woman, tiny waist, robust breasts, a round buttocks, reminiscent of a forbidden fruit, an apple. This virgin, this temptation, succeeds as Tyler once again takes the bait. He gives her a belly blow. He rests his hands around her waist, places his lips to her toned stomach, and caresses her, making a sound like the slurp of a barely there drink. The sound is his effort at maintaining his facade. This amuses me, because only an hour before Tyler remarked that Sarah had curves in all the right places, but I don't know about the face. I suppose the face is irrelevant when flesh is calling attention to all who will listen. Tired of the antics of a hormone-enraged man, I divert my eyes to the rest of the party with whom I lounge. In the group there are two twins, Melanie and Melissa. Melissa, the smaller of the two, attending a Division I college, having a steady relationship of over a year with a handsome, attentive boyfriend. Melanie, the larger of the sisters, attends a less prestigious college and ventures the world without a co-pilot, by which I mean to say she's single. Both women are substantial as far as beauty goes, one a mere 10 pounds heavier than the other. They lay side by side, identical twins on the outside, while very different underneath. I study them, confused as to why Melanie is blinded by her own potential, her own worth, jaded by the expectations of a South Miami society. Admittedly, I compare them. My eyes go over theirs, identical. The curvature of their lips, identical. Their hands, identical. Their thighs. My eyes come to a halt like an unexpected stop at a red light. Stops like these that I can remember as a child, where my father outstretched his arm, extended it over me, his efforts at protecting me and keeping me safe from harm. The scars are familiar. They are not something new to me. Her bathing suit, like a suit of armor without the shield, showcases her insecurity, her doubt. I weep for her. Her anguish too familiar, too close. Flashbacks creep their way into my head. I close my eyes and pray for her, but selfish, I have to distract myself. I hate the seagulls. The beach is a place of fun and relaxation. I cannot relive the past in this moment. My attention is diverted to the freedom of the group next to us. They have no insecurity. They have not condemned themselves to a life of worry. They exude a sense of acceptance. My ears are attentive as they recognize the accents. A product of my travel adventures, they are European. They change their young daughter into her bathing suit, stripping her of her shirt, exposing her bare chest to the ocean wind. The girl is young. There are no distinctions between her naked chest and the boy 3 umbrellas away. She is innocent. Her parents either naive or they hold privileged information close to their own chests. Their daughter is naked and content, while a middle-aged woman in a group of people next to her drowns on top of the sand. This woman casually drapes an oversized white button-up t-shirt across her shoulder. This woman, despite her trendy, clingy brown tube-top bathing suit that suggests her confidence, like many others, hides behind her t-shirt. Or perhaps it is her vanity, the sliver of shoulder meant to be tempting, her goal to appear as though she is modest in her cover-up, but all the while still exploiting her tan skin and swan-like neck. I ponder this for a moment when a different kind of accent demands my attention. My northern roots recognize the loud, drawn-out words of the New Jersey natives, and as I listen, my diagnosis is confirmed. The seemingly alpha male of the group, the husband, remarks on the volleyball game behind him. The game being played by a group of men adorned in bathing attire that resembles that of a boxer brief. Unimportant to the players, they carry on, intensity pouring from them as their friendly game escalates, their testosterone displayed for everyone to see beneath their bathing attire. The Jersey man scoffs to his wife, "This is South Beach. It's not New Jersey. It's normal here." He says here as if it is a different continent, planet, galaxy. "It looks like my underwear," his wife retorts. Typical. My amusement by the complexities of people begins to dwindle. They have all become predictable, disgusting, unimportant. His wife, so quick to judge, cannot hide her own discomforts. She longs, she begs for friendship, caught in the dull monotony of her family's trip to the beach, their vacation. A scream disturbs me. Tyler has been shit on by a seagull. The seagulls I despise must have noticed his hunt. They do have the advantage of a bird's eye view. The girls shriek. Unamused, I decide to walk down the beach. During my walk, I am mostly consumed with my own 2 feet, placing one in front of the other. I gaze up and notice I am behind an older man, rotund, wrinkles that reveal his age like the circles on a tree stump. He carries a young girl, at most 3 years of age, a granddaughter. At first I notice her smile. It was her laugh that grasped me in the first place. It never fails to amaze me how much power lies in a smile, for hers nearly forced mine. It tried to yank mine from deep within me. As he turns, I notice a gruesome scar all along his back, his spine. Most likely from an intensive surgery, yet he still carries her. He boasts with his smile, proud. He displays her to the world as his perfect little angel. The almost inevitable price of pain that he pays is unimportant. He supports her. He carries her through the world in the safety of his own arms. He points. Instinctively, my eyes follow. He points to a man with a guitar singing to his family. Although not the best acoustic I've ever heard, I'm drawn to him. He sings to his family about a melting ice cream cone. How ironic. Ice cream, pure sweetness, is fading away. All around seem to enjoy his music. All I can think of is the sun, the warmth that it brings, the warmth necessary to melt an ice cream cone. I look up and take in its magnificence. The seagulls fly past my view of the sun, and for a moment, they don't seem so bad. Be easy, everybody.